A great morning, excited to spend some time with you, and we're going to get rocking with the Facebook Live here in just 1 second, so just give me one more minute. Do we have this thing?
Get this one.
Oh, Facebook Live now too?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going. All right.
Okay.
All right, let's unmute. Let's rock and roll.
Okay, let me restart recording it first.
All right, gang. Hey, excited to be with you. Excited to spend some time with you. I know we've got a handful of people on the phone, and I am really excited about what I'm going to share with you today. And the reason why is because I think that it is simply human nature, the three things I'm going to talk to you and share with you. It's interesting because, as many of you have, you've traveled all around the world and you've seen lots of different interactions and communications. And you've seen the way in which people interact. You've seen when they come from, whether it be from Asia, or they come from Africa, or they come from Australia, or they come from the US, or they come from Hawaii even, just the islands, right? You see all this different interaction and all these different cultures and all these different approaches to the way in which we communicate. And I'm reminded of John Syatt's statement, and this is several years ago that he said it, and it really struck a chord with me, because I found it to be incredibly true, and it was this. He said, the single most important skill you will ever develop in your lifetime is the ability to communicate with another human being. I thought, that's a pretty profound statement. And as I started thinking about that, I realized that no matter where I am in life, no matter where I travel to in this world, no matter whether it's through business, my personal life, my family life, whether it's politically, civically, whether it's, just even my kids' sports. The fact is that communication is key to everyone's success. So I wanted to share with you just a couple of things today as we spend time together, and I want you to think about the way in which you communicate. And I want you to think about, are you getting what you want out of your message? So the first thing I want to write up here is this. What message are you trying to give? See, the key is that many of us aren't even conscious of the message that we're trying to deliver in our lives. And what I mean by that is that we often are not aware of the way in which we either greet someone, speak to someone, talk to someone, communicate with someone, whether it be through our body language, maybe it's our tonality, maybe it's the words that we say, maybe it's the image that we display by what we wear or what we're not wearing. Every one of these things has a message. Now, if you've had the opportunity ever in your lifetime to what I call take the road tour with, today's pick on John Syatt today. If you ever get the road tour of being able to walk into a Whole Foods with John Syatt, it is like a band walking through the store. What's so cool about it is that when you're with John, he is saying hi to everyone. He's saying hi to the people who are bagging the groceries, to who are stocking the shelves, to the person behind the deli. He knows their name. He knows something about them. He actually gets involved. He acknowledges their existence and who they're. In fact, what's so cool is that many of these people that he's met over the years are now agents even inside the organization because of the communication and the acknowledgement and the inspiration that he gave. Well, I remember back then, this is now well over a decade, as I'd watched this unfold for John. And what I would watch and what I would see is this. People were attracted to him. They wanted to be by him. They wanted to associate with him. They wanted to communicate with them. And because of the way he treated them, they did things like they smiled more. They were more gracious. They were more giving. They were more helpful. And I thought, man, what a powerful message. And it made me realize as I started observing that as I would walk into a store or the local 7-Eleven or convenience store or walk into any store, I realized that I wasn't even giving the acknowledgement that was necessary that I wanted to give to another person. In fact, I found myself maybe on the opposite side of that. Sometimes I get a little bit angry, maybe a little bit frustrated, and it just started generating more and more of that in my life. So here's the deal, right? That if we ask ourselves, what's the message, right? What message are you trying to give when you meet people, when you greet people, when you associate with people? What is it that you want to have happen? Well, I remember back then I made this declaration. I said, I want everyone I meet to be better off than they were before. Seems like a simple statement, but what I found myself doing is that when I walked up to the clerk or the person who was going to check me out at the store, instead of looking at my phone, texting, being on it, and some of you probably do a great job of this, but acknowledging them and really saying hello, talking to them, and actually having a conversation. And then there's some things I want to talk about here in just a moment of how we can make that highly more effective. Look, I by no means, I want to make sure I'm clear here. With what I'm going to share with you, by no means am I saying that I'm doing this perfectly. But what I am saying is that I know that if we do these things, all of us, me included, if we do these things more often than not, if we are more focused and conscious in our communication, these things are going to help. Now, how this conversation really came about and why I'm talking about it today is because it's really about the association and the people that you speak with that will have the most incredible impact on your life. Now, let's talk about that. The first way to garner and to create a better relationship with another human being is this number one thing, and it's our ability to be grateful. Our ability to show gratitude, our ability to communicate with our tone, our voice, our heart, our emotion. It's the ability to write the thank you note. It's not just send the quick text. It's more than that. It's the ability to truly be grateful. And my observation, if you want to take the strain, the struggle, the strife, the challenges out of any relationship, and you want to build it, you want to strengthen it, you want to make it better than it was, whether, again, it's the intimate relationships you have of your life, maybe it's the friends, maybe it's your colleagues, maybe it's the person who checks you out at the little convenience store today when you buy your bottled water or your Diet Coke, whatever it is you're doing, it's actually showing your gratitude for them. See, I found that when I walk into the gym every morning and someone is there about 4 a.m. in the morning to open up that gym, one of the things I've realized when I'm getting there at 5:30 in the morning is I'm saying this to the gal at the front desk. Hey, thank you for being here. Someone had to get up early, and I want you to know how much I appreciate you having this whole thing open. Because the fact is that if we want to strengthen relationships, it's our gratitude through those. If you find there is stress, struggle, strife, discouragement, anything in any relationship, I can promise you that one of the antidotes to that relationship is the way in which you display your gratitude for the other individual. So again, if we want to send a message of gratitude to strengthen it, life will get a lot better. Here's the second thing I want to write up here. You know, Jerry Maguire, right? If you ever watched that movie, he said something like, she said, or I can't remember her name, but when he walks in with all the ladies and they've separated and they don't know if they're going to make it and it's not going really well, and he walks in and she says, "You had me at hello." Look, the tonality that you use when you are spoken to or called, right? I mean, I still remember this story I was telling earlier today was, I still remember when my little daughter, you know, she's now all grown and married and doing her thing in life, but I remember little Mackenzie when she was in her teenage years and she got her first cell phone. And I remember she would answer the phone, and when she answered it and I called her, she would say, "Hello," like as if I have put her totally out. As if, like, how dare you call me? And I could feel it, and then I would be like, "Hi, Kenzie. Hey, it's your dad. I know it must be so hard for you to actually have someone who adores you, loves you, and appreciates you calling you with all of this excitement." And it would break the ice, and she would laugh, and she'd say, "Okay, what, Dad?" Well, you know, then she had the opportunity to kind of go through life, and she had a few college experiences, of course, and then she went out and served what some of you may be aware of, like a Mormon mission. She went to Ukraine, spent a year and a half there learning Russian in a foreign country in the middle of Ukraine. And what began to happen was a different way of communicating. And now today, if you call her and I answer and I say, I call her and it goes ring, ring, she is Miss Excitement. She is hello. And the reason she is because she realized she wanted to send a different message to the people who are communicating with her. Look, none of us are immune from this. It doesn't matter whether it's my daughter Mackenzie, whether it's me, you. all of us need to recognize that we owe it to the people who are calling us, communicating with us, talking to us, or are just simply in our presence, to be greeted with enthusiasm, with excitement, and with joy and vigor. Why? Because you know what? It's the message, it's the commitment to what are you trying to say. My observation is if you have a commitment that anyone who comes along your path is inspired or better off because you showed up, you will treat them accordingly. I remember years ago, in fact, Jason Carlson's in the room, and I remember for years we would do what we call affirmations. And at 5 a.m. we would wake up, and at 5:05 a.m. for the 1 week he'd call me, and the next week I'd call him, and we did this for years back and forth. And I still remember him telling me, man, you act like you just have been up, not like you just woke up, like you've been up all day. And you know what it is? I realized that I just simply flip a switch. Some of you saw that movie by Eddie Murphy and Robert De Niro called Showtime. And it was some cop and robbers kind of deal. But I remember the camera would zoom in on Eddie Murphy, and he'd be sitting there talking, and then right before everything was starting to go down, he'd say, "Showtime." And the fact is that that's what you and I need to be doing. We need to recognize that every human being we meet requires of us, needs of us, our very best. And I think that if we can say hello, if we can show our gratitude at a high level, then number 3, especially, it doesn't matter whether you're on the phone, by the way, with what I'm going to tell you next, or whether you're in person. Number 3 is this, and it is our ability to give a great smile. I still remember years ago Mike Ferry telling me, hey George, you know what? You need to smile more. Whenever we have stress, struggle, strife, discouragement, if we could just simply put and manufacture the habit of putting a smile on our face, it is amazing what it does to our psyche. Even today, knowing what I was going to talk about, I was going to read a few things to you, but man, the science is unbelievable. When we get our physiology, our body in alignment with a smile, standing up, maybe even jumping up and down, getting excited, and showing the fact that we are happy about life. Now look, whether you're prospecting, whether you're talking on the phone, right, with someone, whether you're in person, the fact is that smile, the reason that so many agents have a little mirror in their cubicle or at their desk while they're prospecting, so they can keep that smile going, because sometimes we forget to smile if no one's in front of us. So I want you to think about something. I want you to ask yourself, what are you committed to? What are you committed to in relationship to your future? How do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be remembered by? Do you want to be remembered that when you walk into the room, everything lights up, everything's exciting because you showed up? Or are you more the guy or gal who just simply says, hey, 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 or gives the head nod? No smile, no real greeting, no real gratitude, and we expect a whole different attitude or a whole different result out of our life. And the fact is, we won't get it. The habits of gratitude, the habits of smiling, the habits of greeting people with an energetic, encouraging, exciting hello means everything. Now look, some of us get even put off by the fact if someone's too excited, too happy. It's almost like it throws us off. I'm going to tell you to wake up and shake off the whole idea that it's cool to be monotone, that it's cool to be kind of dead to life. You know, I remember years ago, as I was talking to someone, we were talking about the fact of this excitement, this inspiration. You know, oftentimes it'll be called motivational speaking or rah-rah or all of these different things. And the fact is we can say whatever it is. I hold those things and the energy that's required in those things almost sacred. Why? Because I know that when we are energetic and energy flows through us, it passes on to others. And I love what Zig Ziglar said. Look, you know what? Motivation is like bathing. You don't bathe once and then call it a lifetime, right? You don't just get motivated or encouraged or inspired once. It happens over and over again. When you think about the root of the word inspiration, it comes from the Latin root inspiro, which means to breathe life. Breathe life into other people because of your excitement, your energy, your zeal, your zest for life. And the challenge for each one of us is, frankly, you know what? You may not know what to say. You may not have the skill sets necessary, but I can promise you, if you bring energy to the table, you're going to earn a tremendous amount of money. So watch this. I've often said this, that low energy with low skill sets or skills equals essentially zero money. You can't earn a lot of money in this business. You cannot help a lot of people if you have a low skill set and you have low energy. But what's interesting is that you could have an incredible amount of high energy plus a low skill set. And guess what? You're going to make money. You may not make a ton of money, but you're going to make money. That's why I love new licensees, because they come into the business with their zeal and their zest and their enthusiasm for the business. And you know what? They often just go out and make money because no one told them they had to be, grounded and down and, monotoned and boring. No one told them that that's who they had to be. And so they walk in with all this enthusiasm and energy, and they don't have all the skills in the world, but they just go after it and they make some money. Now the ultimate, of course, is that you, me, all of us walk into any environment with a high level of energy and enthusiasm for life and just being there, ready to inspire and to breathe life into other people. And then the second part is we come to the deal with a high level of skill set. Imagine what could happen. Energy, skills brought together. The answer, of course, is unbelievable amounts of success. That's what is required. If you want to be wealthy, you have to have high levels of energy. They go hand in hand. It's not one or the other. It's not skills but no energy, or high energy but then a lot of skill. I mean, the fact is that we've got to have both. We've got to bring the two together. And then if we execute with the disciplines necessary, great things happen. So I've had a lot of things, if I would just tell you, and we've got just a few minutes left, that have been on my mind. And I love the fact that, it's you might call this Facebook Live or these coaching sessions oftentimes the soapbox. But the thing that has been on my mind is this one question. And I think it's a question that's relevant to anyone who's listening or who may listen to this in the future. And here's the question. The question I would ask you is this: what are you committed to? See, the commitment levels of every single one of us is required if we want to have extraordinary success. The question is what do we have to be committed in or committed to? The challenge is that we often will not take the time to ask the question. And then even if we ask the question, we don't get specific enough to really garner the answers. I have a deep belief, gang, that the answers that you have and that you want in your life, whatever they may be, for any area of your life, and I'm going to get into that into just one second, but they're inside you, right? There's that saying that says, all that I need is within me now, right? There's a pretty powerful statement. All that I need is within me now. The fact is that the answers that you may want, the things that you may desire to know, they're already inside of you. You just have to ask the question, right? So if we look at this and we want to be extraordinary at our communication, and then we take a step back and ask the question, well, what are we committed to? Well, when I was having those poor experiences of communication, I saw John Syatt and saw how he was communicating and the joy that he was bringing to people's lives, the smile that was coming into their lives, made me take a step back and say, you know what, who do I want to become? And who do I want to be? So let me just throw a few questions, and if you write them down now, that's great. If you write them down later or come back, and this will, of course, be posted on the websites of Troop and Everest. I'll probably throw it up on my personal page, but I want you to think about a question that really has been one of the most important questions I've asked myself for several years, if not close to 2 decades. And then this is the question: who do I have to become to close a certain number of deals? And you fill in the blank, right? Who do I have to become to earn an amount of money? Whatever that amount is. Maybe it's $100,000, maybe it's $500,000, maybe it's millions, I don't know. But the question for you is really, who do you have to become? Well, my observation is what shapes us in our becoming of who we are, and I think you will probably agree with this, The becoming is about what this organization is all about, which is working from the inside out. And the challenge for each one of us is that if we don't have enough money, we don't have enough success, we don't have the relationships we want, we don't have the business we want, we don't have the money we may want, if we don't have any of that, then the challenge is we often will go outside of ourselves and blame the market, blame the industry, blame the inventory, blame other agents, blame our brokers, our managers, the other leaders around us, other agents, the market, the inventory, loan programs, lenders, title, escrow. We'll blame anybody but ourselves. And the fact of the matter is that we have to make sure we recognize individually that if we will work from the inside out, we can fix the challenges that are ahead. So, I had a great quote today, right? And that is that it's not what is the market doing, right? It doesn't matter whether it's going up or down. It's what are you doing inside this market. And that's the key component. So, I want to give you quickly these 7 equities, and we'll wrap up with this. And these 7 equities for me are priceless. Why? Because they give me the focal point to answer the question, which is this: what am I committed to? Who am I planning to become, right, in these areas? And here's these 7 areas, these 7 equities. And look, they're modified for my liking. You may have heard them differently, but this is the way that I like to do it. You may find it to be done a different way, and it works for you. But I found that in order to create what I want out of my life, the way in which I'll share this with you is the way that it's worked for me. So here are quickly these 7 equities. And by the way, if you've heard this from me before, remember, the mother of memory is repetition. What Michael Phelps, Michael Jordan, and Wayne Gretzky and other great athletes have figured out, and Olympians and professional athletes and even amateurs that do great stuff, what they figured out is that monotony, the mastery of repetitious boredom, is the key. So if you're bored, I hope you're not, but if you are, the fact is that maybe there's still something to learn, right? I love what T. Harv Eker said. He said, the most dangerous words in the English dictionary are these: I already know that. And the key is that when we say I already know that, or I already know this, the challenge is our brain shuts off and we stop listening. And when we stop listening, we stop learning. And so I hope that you'll stay committed with me over these next few minutes as we get down to some what I consider the working from the inside out. So here's these 7 equities. Here's the first one. I'll write these up here on the board. I don't know if Kyla, if that's getting me else up here, but let's just write it up here. Here's these 7 equities. Right? The equities of your life, where you get depth and substance into your life. These are in no particular order, but here they are. Here's number 1. Number 1, let's just focus first here with your health. Your health and your vitality, right? What are you committed to? Who do you have to become in relationship to your health? Do you know your destination when it comes to your health? Here's the second thing I want to share with you. How about spiritually? Look, many of you have heard this stuff from me before, but look, again, what are you committed to spiritually? What does that look like for you? How are you centering yourself? Do you always have to go to a seminar to get centered? Are you capable of centering yourself without a seminar? Can you pull out your journal? Can you ask yourself great questions? Can you define what you're committed to in that area? Boy, I love this statement. Here's a great statement for spirituality and frankly anything in life. Decide what you believe and live it. Pretty interesting statement, right? Decide what you believe and live it. Whatever that is, live it. I can tell you that you want your spirituality to increase, whatever that means to you. I can tell you, if you decide what you believe, right, what you're committed to, and live it, life will even get better. All right, number 3, let's just write down family. Now, the family could be, of course, the spouse. It could be a partner, right? It could be your children. Sometimes we manufacture and have to create families that even aren't so normal in today's world or in the past. You know what? But you can create your family. You can have a family. And what does that look like to you? Right? What are you committed to as a father or a mother or partner or a spouse? What are you committed to in regards to being a father or a mother? What does that look like for you? Right? All right. 4. How about your business? Right? Or your career. You can even write down career. But what does it look like for your business? What is the equities of your life? What are you committed to from that standpoint? Now, obviously, number 5 is kind of 4 bleeds into number 5, which would be the financial side, right? The monetary side. But financially, what does it look like? What are you committed to financially? How are you going to invest? How are you going to build assets and cash flow? What does it look like for you? Right? This is the time to take your journal out and write. You don't need to go to another seminar to see this stuff. You got one right here where if you just take out a notepad or a journal or a blank piece of paper, just say, what am I committed to? And start writing out, what are you committed to financially? All right? And number 6, let's write down our travel. Another word I love to write up here, I won't write it, but I'll say it here, is recreation. Right? I always remember from Earl Nightingale from Leave the Field, he said, recreation. What does that really mean? It means to recreate. Recreate yourself. So when we're traveling and we're expanding our mindsets and our, seeing the different cultures and lifestyles and this incredible planet that we live on, are you committed to recreating, recreating? Are you committed to traveling and exposing your life to great cultures and places? I promise you that if you get committed, when you ask yourself what you're committed to, you'll find the answers. And when you're committed and you have the answers, you'll find a way. And you'll get places that you want to be. You'll be able to check them off that bucket list for your lifetime. Or maybe you'll go several times. And then the last thing I want to point out here is number 7, is what I call your legacy. And I'm going to put another word up here also, and that is leadership. Right, gang? Because the fact is what we're talking about is being a great leader. But your legacy, and you certainly have heard this from me before, but I would just simply tell you again, and that is the 2 most important days of someone's life is the day they were born and the day they figured out why. Gang, the fact is that these equities are where you will shape your life. And frankly, whether you're committed to them or not, they're happening. Your leadership and your legacy, they're occurring despite whether you're conscious of it. Your health, your family, it's all moving along. Life just moves on. It just keeps going. So the problem is that if we aren't conscious of where we want our destination to be, if we don't define our commitments to the things that are most important, right? If you don't have a plan, you might just end up in someone else's plan, and you might not like that plan, right? You might not like the plan because you didn't plan accordingly. So, look, in closing, I just want to echo to you my tremendous gratitude for those that listen and those that I have the right and the opportunity and the privilege to associate with. It brings me tremendous joy to have the opportunity to spend time with you and talk about fulfilling your life, right? Or fulfillment in your life. And I always talk about the fact that if we want true fulfillment, it's not one or the other. A lot of times people, and I've heard it multiple times. In fact, I was just at breakfast this morning with my daughter, and we were talking about the fact of this focus of people saying, I have to find me, and focusing on me. And it's not that that's a horrible thing, because there's a balance there. But it's not one or the other. Remember that. What's critical is that you focus on you with the idea of contributing to another. So personal growth, balanced out with contribution to other people, creates an extraordinary life of fulfillment. You want more joy, you want more happiness, you want more fulfillment, you want to feel the inner peace that can come from the joy of giving and learning and growing. Well, this is the focus, gang. The first part, again, is about being a great communicator. The second part is about putting those equities in our lives and asking the question, what is it? What is it that you're committed to? My observation is you wouldn't be listening. You wouldn't be watching if you weren't committed. I have a great belief in human beings. I have a belief that they are capable of far more than they give themselves credit for. I have a deep belief that we have the capacity to heal ourselves. I have a deep belief that we have the capacity to learn. That just because we have a college degree does not mean it's the end of our learning. Just because we think that life is tough and challenging, it doesn't mean that there isn't still joy inside of it. You can find it. I have a deep belief that you are capable of far more than you may give yourself credit to. But the fact is that if you will define what you're committed to, you have an extraordinary chance, an incredible opportunity to be able to fulfill your life with all the dreams, the goals, and the aspirations that you have. And that's my commitment. That's the commitment of the whole organization. It's the mission of the organization is to do one thing: to assist every single individual, agents, staff, leadership, anyone who touches this organization. The commitment is to help every single one of them to become their very best. That's it, to become your very best. And if you can do that, you know what? The company's victorious, and so are you. Have an extraordinary day. Have a great week. Make it what you need it to be. Ask yourself what you're committed to. Answer the questions. Greet people with a smile, an enthusiastic hello, and show your gratitude, and watch how great life can continue or become for you. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon, guys.